All right, class. So, all right, here we are. The next step in production is pre-production. So, assuming that the writer has delivered a good script, either the studio or the production company is satisfied with it. Maybe there's a little bit of changes here and there, but let's say for the most part, it's 90% locked. We got a story. The studio will, or the production company will start moving financial resources around, okay? They're gonna start moving money, putting money where their mouth is at this point. We got a strong script. The clock is ticking. We need to get this puppy made as quickly as possible. Why? Because in film, time literally is money. So, like say, for example, I'm going to shoot a scene here in this room. I have to rent lights. I have to rent the camera. I have to rent audio equipment. I have to hire someone to set up those lights. I have to hire someone to run the electricity. I have to hire someone to hire someone. I have to, all these things have to happen. So before this one little simple setup happens, all this money gets spent, okay? So we have to plan, and explicitly go over our plans. And then we have to think about our plans and then think about what could possibly go wrong with our plan. And then we plan for that as a backup to that, okay? So pre-production literally translates to planning. You're planning for the shoot, okay? So the studio moves the finances around to the production company. Your production coordinator, your producers now have the resources. They start drafting contracts, making phone calls, calling up the people that the director wants to work with. Specific directors sometimes only work with certain people. Like a certain director, like Spike Lee for a while, only worked with Ernest Dickerson. They worked phenomenal together. He got his creative sensibilities. Ernest Dickerson knew exactly what Spike Lee was looking for visually, and every single time delivered it with amazing results. So Spike Lee only goes to him. So someone's got to contact Ernest Dickerson, get his rate, how much he charges, and make that happen, okay? Sometimes it is the director who's doing it. Like say, for example, if I were doing a movie and I'm trying to get Will Smith, I'm going to call Will Smith myself. I'm not going to let my assistant call him. That's not going to be very effective, right? I'm going to make the contact myself and then pass it on to an assistant or a producer to complete the deal. Or the producer, the unit production coordinator, right, the UPM, or the executives are doing the hiring. It depends on who they are hiring. If it's a celebrity, then yeah, there's going to be a more personal touch to it. If you're just a background operator or you're just laying cables, a grip, a gaffer, you're going to get a call from a producer, maybe even an email. Okay, so that's what's going on in pre-production. The director has to deliver storyboards. If the director does not have storyboards and notes, no one can plan because we don't know what he wants to shoot. So based off of the storyboards, shot by shot for the whole movie, the entire crew knows what's going to happen. We know what this is going to look like. So based off of each panel, right, every single department from makeup, wardrobe, hair, props, set design, the set painters, everybody, makeup, everyone has to get on the same page for each individual panel. So for each individual shot, we're meeting. I'm talking to the makeup person. How are you going to handle this look? Is it going to conflict with the hair person? The hair person's there. How long do you need to make this look? because I'm literally calculating minutes. If the makeup person says 1 hour, the hair person says 1 hour, stunts says 30 minutes to set it up, right? And my DP says he only needs an hour. That's 2 hours side by side, and these 2 hours can run consecutively with these two. So I'm looking at least a minimum of 2 hours before we shoot, right? So that would put us, like, let's say if we get there at 9 o'clock, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, right, to 1, now I got to schedule in a lunch. You see what I'm saying? So that's at least half a day, 1 hour of lunch, 5 hours before we even got off one shot. That's a lot of money, especially if you have a large crew. I remember I was visiting a good friend of mine on his movie set, and he was dealing with a difficult A-list actor. An A-list actor is your big, huge, recognizable names like Denzel Washington and Tom Cruise. And these particular, it was on the set of Poetic Justice. And Janet Jackson and Tupac did not like each other. And he had to deal with that. And Tupac would notoriously come to set late. I'm not talking like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I'm talking hours. He would come to the set hours late. And what it would do was it would break the momentum that they had built up, and it would completely destroy their plans for that day. If he didn't show up, or I should say when he didn't show up, they would have to sit down and think, okay, he's not here. We just can't sit here twiddling our thumbs because we are running through money to the tune of $150,000 per minute. I'm sorry, per hour. Okay. So with that said, and that's just for the labor force, not for the rentals. So $150,000 per hour just for the labor. We need to shoot something. So now they got to figure out what are they going to shoot. And that takes time. But now you got to set up another shot, and it just wreaks havoc. And then now they know that, okay, we're dealing with a diva sort of A-list actor. How do we buffer that in our production? You know, maybe we'll have to rent more equipment and set up 2 shots simultaneously, right? So that if he comes late for this shot, at least we got this shot we can work on, and we're not wasting $150,000 an hour, okay? These are the type of things that are sort of dealt with and sort of conceived in pre-production, so that when you're on set, you want things to run as smoothly as possible, okay? You're looking at interior or exterior shots. Do we need a generator? Sometimes we need a power generator if it's an exterior shot. Is it day or night? Are we lighting up the background scenery at nighttime so that the camera can detect it? That takes a generator and a lot of powerful lights. So we break that down and we put it on a calendar date. We put a start date for the shoot. That's called principal photography, okay? That's the day everybody shows up, day 1, right? And we schedule everything from day 1 to day 0, okay? Everything has to be taken care of in that window. There are occasions where you have to go back and, let's say, shoot pickups. Let's say the production has wrapped, meaning ended. When they say that's a wrap, that means we're done. That was the last shot. So the director says that's a wrap, we're done. They go to post-production where they're editing, and they figured, well, this one scene right here doesn't make sense. We need this shot, and it'll explain everything for the audience. So they hire somebody and they do what's called a pickup, and they will go and do a pickup shot, right? Small skeleton crew, very minimal, just what they need to get it done, okay? So, but for the most part, all your shooting is done when you wrap. You are returning equipment. Your producers are calculating receipts. They're adding up the numbers so that they can send those reports to the studio, because the studio wants to see how you spent their money, right? That has to be accounted for. And now the director's attention 100% switches to the relationship he has with the editor, visual effects, and the music supervisor. Editing, visual effects, music supervisor. I'm sorry, and marketing. They're getting ready to market this bad boy. Actually, they've been getting ready to market since they bought the script and locked the A talent. Okay, now they're generating a buzz. So they're getting the word out. The director's focus and the producers are focused on that. Getting this thing done, edited with good sound, good visual effects, and a solid marketing plan, distribution. Those are the things that are considered now in pre-production. Once that principal photography date starts, it's all hands on deck. It's all pre-planning and planning, contracts, checking. This is where the personality types that are very organized flourish. I had a student, her name was Deja, and she's currently, I don't know if she's still at she's not at West LA. She went through West LA program. I met her at another film program, and she was a producer, or she went through the producing track. She was so effective at producing. And let me tell you why. During the pre-production phase, she would send you an email telling you we have a production meeting. 10 minutes before that meeting, you get another email and a text message saying, hey, don't forget about the meeting. You get to the meeting, she's got an agenda prepared for the meeting. She's already discussed certain points with the director about the meeting, right? So that when everyone comes in, it's a focused agenda. And then after the meeting, she's gonna send you notes what the meeting was about, just as a reminder. As you get closer to production, anytime there was an issue, you're gonna get at least 2 to 3 phone calls and 2 to 3 emails from Deja about any issue. It may sound like overkill, but it's not. In a film production, things are sometimes can be moving so fast and so dynamic, especially as those deadline dates get closer, that over communication is not an issue. I'd rather get 10 emails about an important subject than 1 email, because if I get 10 of them, I'm more likely to see it. You know, an email, a text message, a phone call, as opposed to just an email. And then you don't get the message and you're like, well, what happened? I sent you an email. Well, you know, I don't check my emails until 3 o'clock, or I try to check my emails, but you know, that particular day, the director was running rehearsals. And when the director's running rehearsals, he's not gonna check his email. He just doesn't. So that's where that Deja type it was almost like she was obsessed with communicating. And then she got to West LA and she was in the Below the Line program. And I ran into Kevin, who ran the program, and I asked, how's Deja doing? And he was like, oh man, I love her. She's great. She is so organized. And he told me when she first came, she thought she was going to be a grip. But once I saw how organized she was, I knew she wasn't going to be a grip. He saw the value in that organization, those organization skills. And he made a couple of phone calls to some execs, and boom, now she's in an office, a production office, and they're utilizing her organization skills. So pre-production is the time the writer has handed it off for the most part. And now it's in the hands of the producer and the director, and they have to schedule everything per the director's vision. And this is where all those communication skills come into play. Because you need solid information on your schedule, on the books. You know, if your DP can't make it until Thursday, and you have them down there as making it on Wednesday, well, you got a problem, because you're going to have, 15 to 20 other people show up Wednesday, 8 a.m., setting up camera, and your DP's not even going to be there. So, yes, communication is so critical at this point. All right? You want someone who's going to double, triple, quadruple check everything. And that just gives the entire crew a sense that when they show up, the producer has done their job and everything they need will be there for them to execute their job and the director's vision flawlessly. Okay? You want a producer like that in pre-production. You want a director with a vision, a distinct vision, storyboards. They know how they're going to approach the story. They know who they're casting, all that. So now everyone else, the crew, is just filling in the spaces. You want a producer who's organized and communicates extremely well. There is no over communicate, you're calling me too much. You're emailing. No, the producer, it's impossible. You want that person. And then you want your crew to be dedicated to the individual craft that they serve. You want if they're makeup, you want them dedicated to makeup. You don't want them to be like, well, yeah, I have a flower shop, but I saw a couple of YouTube videos on makeup, so I want to give it a try. No, you don't want that person, because they're going to get on set and they're going to waste time. Okay, and it might be at a time where it's critical, where, let's say, for example, directors of photography are notorious for chasing the sun. And there are these two opportune moments, one in the morning and one in the evening, and it's called the golden hour. And directors of photographies love to shoot during the golden hour because the lighting is perfect. All right. So if they're exterior, so a lot of times they're chasing the sun. If you have, like, say, 5 minutes left till the golden hour, we got 5 minutes to get this shot, and all of a sudden your hair person is like, oh, well, I need 20 minutes to get the hair done. All right, cutting it close. All right, 20 minutes, you go back. Oh, I'm not done yet. I tried it, but it didn't work. I need to do something else. I need another 20 minutes. Well, you've lost the golden hour now. You've lost the shot. Now you got to wait another. Either you give it up, you compromise the look of the shot, or you just give it up for another day. But either way, you've wasted a lot of money because your hairstylist was incompetent in that moment. Okay? So you want a dedicated and a well-trained crew who's done their research. It is not uncommon. Matter of fact, it's almost standard practice that I've seen every single time. The producers and the directors, let's say if a character has a specific look that may be challenging, like say the Joker, they will call in the makeup people and the wardrobe and have them practice creating that look so that they can time it, so that on set they know exactly how long it takes to create that look. Okay? And so that the wardrobe and hair people are not trying to figure it out on set. All that stuff gets done in pre-production. Okay? So pre-production, it's not necessarily a rush. It's more so paying attention to details. Okay, you're planning, pre-planning, you're thinking of what can possibly go wrong, and then you're planning for that as well. And You're just making sure that everyone is communicating at every step of the way. Any issues that they might foresee, anything that they might need that's not obvious in the script, the producers have to take note of that and schedule it accordingly so that when that professional shows up on set, they have absolutely everything they need. The worst thing you want to hear as a producer on your microphone is something like, oh, the makeup person has to leave set because they need to go get a special eye brush to make this look happen. So they're going to be gone for 20 minutes. That's the worst thing you want to hear. You know, they might get stuck in traffic. It could be a car accident, anything can happen. You want to send a low-level person, but you want to get that stuff taken care of far before, okay? So that's where we're at now. You have to have it in the script. The script has to be in the proper format. I think I mentioned this before, so that we can upload it into the software. The software breaks it down for us initially. We put in any final touches on that breakdown, and then we start to schedule, hire, check, communicate, emails, calls. You go and knock on the door if you have to. You know, this is the period where you hear like crazy stories like producers trying to get in touch with like Bill Murray because the director has a script and we need Bill Murray. And Bill Murray is a legend in Hollywood as far as no one knows how to get in touch with them. You know, it's like yeah. So pre-production is where all this sort of, to me, pre-production is the mayhem. The trying to organize and wrangle everyone into a cohesive plan, a cohesive vision that the director has established in these boards, okay? And that takes a lot of conversation. Hopefully your plan is by the time you get to principal photography, everything is scheduled already and it'll go flawlessly. During this time, the director is doing rehearsals. He's getting with his cast and he's going over lines, performances. They're doing read-throughs. He's meeting with production design, costume, wardrobe, anybody. Anyone who has questions, the director has to be there. So they're getting pulled in different directions right now and still trying to maintain focus on the story. Okay. All right. I know I threw a lot at you. Just, you know, you got the opportunity to rewind, play it back. The main takeaway here is in pre-production, it's plan, double check, triple check, quadruple check, and then communicate. You send the email, send the text, send the phone call, you send a smoke signal, you send every means of communication possible to your crew and your cast to get this schedule as solid as possible, so that when the day comes, that morning, when everybody shows up at 7:30 in the morning to start shooting, boom, you're off. Because those first days is going to set the momentum. It's something about those first few days of a shoot. And if you can get that momentum going in those first couple of days, everyone gets this confident feeling that the director and the producers got a handle on this. They know what they're doing and I can get behind them. And then everyone is gung-ho. So those first couple of days are critical. All right. Questions, comments, drop them, send them. There are no dumb questions. The only dumb question is the question that goes unasked. All right? Because I guarantee if you have a question, there's at least 2 people out there who have the exact same question. They're just too shy to ask. So drop your questions. All right, guys. Good luck. Go make a movie.